All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new here. Appreciate you guys joining me this evening, streaming later than I usually do, as I'm sure many of you have noticed. I do apologize for that. I meant to stream at the normal time that I do during the week, but due to certain circumstances, I had no choice but to do a later stream today. So I figured, you know what? Better late than no stream at all. So appreciate you guys joining me at kind of, last minute notice. Gaming Survivor, that sounds extremely dangerous. That sounds very dangerous. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. Guys, we are only 6 likes away from hitting 50. Make sure you hit that like button. All right. It helps the streams tremendously. You guys have been doing a great job lately, and it's definitely been helping with the YouTube algorithm. So if you want to continue to grow this community and just kind of get these streams and this community in front of more eyes so we can grow it, hit that like button. And we have DJ. He says, I'm out the gate with it. DJ coming in, dropping a 5 bomb on you guys. Love to see it. 5 memberships gifted from our good friend DJ here. He's kicking us off. Love to see it, man. Thank you so much for that. This is a good opportunity for me to let everybody know that after our discussion during the stream today, we are going to be doing another members lounge. We did an extensive members lounge yesterday, and it was really fun. But we're going to be doing another one today. Okay, so if you just got gifted a membership, you now have access to that members lounge. If you're not a member, consider joining. I also want to make sure I shout out here, since we just got 5 more member gifts, you now have access to the Dual Sensibility podcast. It's me and my best friend, Brown Sugar, host and co-host. Who's who? I don't know. Which one's the host? Which one's a co-host? But yeah, it's a weekly PlayStation podcast we do. And right now, it's members only. Eventually, it's going to go public. It's just kind of in the beta phase. But if you're interested in something that's a bit different from what I usually do here with these live streams, I would highly recommend going and checking that out. It's gotten a lot of positive feedback. So, yeah, some good reasons, I think, to consider becoming a channel member. We are completely fan-funded here, guys. So everybody who chooses to be a member and remain a member month over month, anybody who chooses to gift memberships or drop super chats, it helps support the channel, the content, and it keeps things going here. So thank you so much, guys. Let's see. Jay Shako is in shock. He's like, wait, we're streaming? When do I record Dual Sensibility? I usually record it on Friday or Saturday. And there's a lot of editing involved. A lot of it's quite I'm still kind of learning how to do like a properly pre-recorded podcast. So it's been quite the endeavor. I hope it produces some meaningful results because I would like to continue doing it. I do plan to continue doing it. But yeah, we'll have another episode 4. So we're going to be 4 episodes deep into this podcast. This Saturday, hopefully. I try to get it out every Saturday, usually in the evening. Brown Sugar's microphone quality should be much better this time. I think he purchased a proper mic. I'm not sure if it's going to come in time, but either way, the audio will be improved. So it'll sound a little bit more professional. Let me update this member goal so we can see where we're at. And guys, one last thing before we move on here. If we do end up hitting the member goal, we will feed the Beast and the Micro Panther. I have both Boss and Luna in the room with me, and they are used to getting treats by this point. They by this point in time would have gotten a couple of treats. So if we hit that, no, Ray, no, I can confirm he is not. He is not. All right, so guys, we're talking about Death Stranding 2 today, but that's not the only topic I have to discuss with you. We are also talking about Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, Konami pretty much confirming they're going to be remastering it and bringing it over to modern consoles, which is very exciting, in my opinion. We're going to be talking about Lies of P, one of my favorite games, and how apparently they might be gearing up to go open world, which is interesting. Not so sure if it gets me as excited, though, but we'll talk about it. Either way, I'll play the Lies of P sequel. But we got a couple of topics to cover today. But the biggest one is about Death Stranding 2 being possibly closer to release than we think. We got a bit of a small update from Hideo Kojima today, and he seemingly may have been teasing the PS5 Pro as well, which a lot of people noticed. But before I get into it, we have PlayStation Pete here with a $5 super chat. In all caps, saying, MBG, I conquered Stellar Blade for the Platinum last night. Defeated 2 dinosaurs in Astro's Playroom, found 3 special bots, and playing Rise of the Ronin's demo. Well, damn, PlayStation Pete, you are doing a very healthy amount of gaming across the board there. But congratulations on your Stellar Blade Platinum, dude. Quite the journey. You went from being unsure if you were actually going to play the game, thinking about maybe returning it, to going all the way and platinuming it. I didn't even platinum that game, so good stuff, man. Playing some Astro's Playroom, getting ready for Astrobot, getting the special bots, and playing the Rise of the Ronin demo. Good stuff, man. Love to see it. There's nothing to play on PlayStation, though. Didn't you hear, PlayStation Pete? It's a dry Station 5. Sony's got no games. I gotta say, the Dry Station 5 has to be the funniest name I've heard so far. It's such an obvious one, but I feel like I've only started seeing people use that recently. The Dry Station 5. Anyway, we have more people here now filing in, which is good to see. We will dive into this topic here. So, Death Stranding 2, guys. Death Stranding 2 is very clearly going to be one of the big, if not the biggest title that Sony releases for PlayStation next year. It's clearly targeting a 2025 release. So when I say that it might be closer than we think, I don't want anybody to get ahead of themselves and assume I mean it's coming like January or February. It's not that close. But what I will tell you is that my expectations for Death Stranding 2 in terms of its release were maybe like October or November of 2025. And while what I'm going to go over today doesn't confirm anything, I think we can kind of infer where this game is going to land. And I'm going to explain why I think the game might be a little bit further along development-wise than we may have realized. The Delay Station 5, that's another good one. Thank you for that, Chasing Everything. I appreciate the kind words. Mini Tom Official says, MBG, I hope Death Stranding 2 is not an Amazon delivery service type game again, LOL. Yeah, I will tell you, it seems to me that there is like the core base gameplay of you need to like transport stuff from point A to point B. It seems to me that that's going to stay with Death Stranding 2. I don't think that is being removed from the game, but it's worth noting that Death Stranding 2 came out in 2019, so it's been like 5 years of Kojima Productions just building off of that gameplay, where I'm sure that Kojima's had a ton of ideas of how to approach fleshing out the gameplay loop, adding more action, like you're saying, as well as many other things, including different types of boss battles. These are all things that I suspect will be part of the game that will help, I think, differentiate it gameplay-wise in a substantial way compared to the first game. But yeah, let me go over here why I believe Death Stranding 2 might be closer than we think. So before I do that, I want to point out that it has already been officially confirmed that Death Stranding 2 will be attending Tokyo Game Show 2024 with PlayStation Presents. They didn't really make it clear whether or not we can expect a gameplay demo, but it's highly likely we will be getting a gameplay demo of Death Stranding 2. It's highly likely it'll be running on the PlayStation 5 Pro. So at the end of September, we're going to be getting a substantial update on this game. So that in and of itself tells us that, you know, it's getting closer to release, and maybe there's a possibility we will get the release date at Tokyo Game Show. But I'm going to bring this up on screen here. so we can check this out together. This is what Hideo Kojima posted today. Let me make sure I have the right thing up. Hold on. It's one of these. Is it? No, it's not that one. It's this one. Here we go. So, over on Twitter, Kojima posted this, and it's quite significant. He says, "I'm just building and building the game these days, playing the game. I check the gameplay, map, enemies, placing things, events, UI, graphics, sound, animation, VFX, cutscenes, scenario, how everything is connected, vibration, the rhythm of the game, hints. It's the phase and I send out notes to the team. So it's going to take a little bit more." So I feel like it's that last part there that we want to pay close attention to that gives us maybe a bit of a hint at how far along Death Stranding 2 is. It seems to me that he is just making it clear that he's just playing through the game, right? The way he says it, I'm playing the game, right? I check the gameplay, the map, the enemies, placing things, etc. He lists pretty much everything. So it sounds to me like he's just basically playing the entire game through, and he's gathering notes, and he's giving those notes to his team. To me, it sounds like the game is pretty much done. It sounds like the game is pretty much done, and right now it's kind of going through that Kojima check, and they are in the polishing phase where anything he happens to notice that they need to maybe alter or tweak or refine, he's going to let them know. But he says it's going to take a little bit more. So what do we think he means by a little bit more? Oh, by the way, pay close attention to this picture of Kojima, by the way, because next to the monitor on the right, where the DualSense is connected, that's a PlayStation 5 Pro dev kit. There are some people, it's weird. I've seen people in denial on Twitter. I've seen people in denial that they think for some reason what's underneath this cloth or something that is covering the PS5 Pro dev kit, they're in denial, thinking they're like, well, there's no proof that's a PS5 Pro dev kit. I mean, it's clear that Kojima has been developing Death Stranding 2 for the PS5 Pro for quite some time. It's clear that this is one of the games we're going to see alongside the reveal of the PS5 Pro. But you see that the DualSense is connected to it with a wire. And some people are saying, well, you can connect your DualSense to a PC. And that's true, but people seem to forget for some reason that Death Stranding 2 was announced as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And it will launch as a PlayStation 5 exclusive unless something has changed and we're not aware of it. But yeah, he's working with a PlayStation 5 dev kit, and it's obvious it's a Pro dev kit. And it's worth noting that Tom Henderson actually chimed in. Tom Henderson says that he was told that the PlayStation 5 Pro dev kit looks identical to the regular PS5 dev kit. And so because the PS5 Pro, it's not officially revealed yet, you know, obviously Kojima can't be taking a picture of a PS5 Pro dev kit just sitting out there for people to like zoom in on and, you know, discover that that's what we're looking at. But yeah, man, I look at this today. It's not like the biggest news by any means, but it tells me that maybe we are much closer to this game's release date being announced than we think. I got to be honest, when we heard that Death Stranding 2 was going to be showing up at TGS and there was going to be some kind of special presentation, I wasn't necessarily thinking we were going to get a release date. But after seeing Kojima post this where he's like, look, I'm going through the game, we're basically in the polishing phase, he can clearly, I mean, I could be off the mark, they could be way further behind than I'm thinking. I don't think this game's going to come out like, again, January, February, or March. I'm thinking Death Stranding 2 is going to be a game that if we get a release date for it in September, I'm thinking next summer. I'm thinking, they might not give an exact month, but I'm thinking it could be like a June game. I do. I think it could release in June or July. I think June is maybe a little bit more likely. I think we could be that close to it. Kojima Productions is one of the most efficient development teams in the world. I think people kind of forget how quickly Kojima got Death Stranding 1 out the door, and it was a very impressive AAA game, right? Kojima Productions was basically formed at the end of 2015 going into 2016, and from that point forward they formed the partnership with Sony, and they just hit the ground running, and the game was ready to go. The game shipped like, not even 4 years later, practically 3.5 years of dev time. So when you consider that, right, like it's kind of nuts, and it goes to show that their team is very efficient. They know what they're doing. They know how to build a game very quickly, a big game at that. And you have to assume that Kojima Productions has only gotten more efficient and actually gotten better since the time they released Death Stranding 1. So when I look at all of this, I'm starting to think that, this presentation we get for Death Stranding 2 might be, it might be, it might hold a couple of surprises. And one of those surprises could be that we will get a release date or a release month for 2025. And I'm starting to think that this is not going to be like a holiday 2025 game, because you have to imagine that the development of Death Stranding 2 began almost immediately after Death Stranding 1 shipped. So if that's the case, then this game actually got more development time than Death Stranding 1 did, like significantly more. So, we're looking at about like potentially a 4.5 to 5 year development cycle. Again, comparing that to Death Stranding 1, Death Stranding 1 had about like a 3.5 year development cycle. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good about it. 18 May, yes, I did see that. We're going to be saving that for tomorrow's discussion. I definitely have something I want to say about that. That'll be tomorrow's stream. And after Death Stranding 2 is Fizzant. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've speculated before, like, how long could it take something like Fizzant to release? I think it's safe to say that whatever Fizzant ends up being is going to be a PlayStation 6 game, but it could come a little bit sooner than we think, because, again, Kojima's just proven how efficient him and his team are at developing AAA games. I wouldn't say 2027. No, I think it's a bit too soon. I'm thinking like 2029, 2030. I'm thinking Fizzant will be most likely a early PlayStation 6 game. It could be a cross-gen game. 2029 isn't soon, no, but when you consider that like Death Stranding 2 isn't even out yet, we don't have a release date for it, but the development of Death Stranding 2 is proceeding very well, seemingly, and it could be out sooner next year than we think. But I also want to ask this question: how do we feel about Death Stranding 2 in general? How do we feel about Death Stranding 2 being, as of right now, the only tentpole title, big PlayStation 5, PlayStation Studios title slated for 2025? I mean, we know Marathon's coming out next year, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but just focused on Death Stranding 2, how are we feeling? I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm very excited for Death Stranding 2. I'm just really interested to see more gameplay. We've seen like glimpses of gameplay in the last trailer, but Death Stranding is amazing, but not enough. It does make me wonder if Sony is expecting maybe Death Stranding 2 to kind of carry the PlayStation brand next year. I feel like that would be a tall order. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Death Stranding 2 could do a lot for PlayStation. I think it will do a lot, but I still think that it's not necessarily as popular as some of the other games, right? That we see. No, Gaming Survivor. Hopefully you didn't take it that way. Carlos, you're saying you're a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, but you could never get into MGS5 and Death Stranding. Interesting. I will say Metal Gear Solid 5 was very different. I thought it was awesome. The gameplay was S tier, 10 out of 10. I will say the way the story was told in Metal Gear Solid 5 was very different, I think, from previous Metal Gear games. And I think it just kind of left something to be desired. It was really cool. Like, it was very stylized the way Kojima handled it. And it had I just think like an overall different style compared to all the other mainline Metal Gear Solid games. But I still really enjoyed it. I won't lie though, story-wise, it definitely felt like there was something left to be desired. But yeah, the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid 5 was incredible, and I think Death Stranding, you could tell was just kind of an amalgamation of like all the different things going on in Kojima's mind. Yeah, the base management was really interesting. I kind of forgot about that, yeah. And you could like invade other people's mother bases. I remember with MGS5 there was like a special cutscene that would only unlock. It was, I think, data mined, but it would only unlock if all the nukes were like disabled in the game or something across every player. So it was like clearly never going to unlock. But that's so interesting that they decided to put that in there. Definitely a Kojima move right there. That's true, yeah. Metal Gear Solid 5 is unfinished. Death Stranding was everything Metal Gear Solid 5 wasn't cinematically. Interesting take, Sage Infinite. Yeah, Kojima, he is crazy for doing something like that. Just knowing, like, no one will ever see this cutscene. Unless somebody data mines it, you know? You hope they remake Peace Walker. That would be an interesting situation. Peace Walker was really fun. Yeah, I did play Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and it was like way better than I expected it to be, considering it was developed, I think, for the PlayStation Portable. And people say Sony is risk averse, greenlighting Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2. I think it's quite obvious that Sony's not risk averse, but they just have to be thoughtful in the risks they're taking. And we are seeing right now that they are paying dearly for some of the risks they took. Not with Death Stranding 2, of course, but you know, Kojima, I would say, is probably a safer bet overall. I do hope Death Stranding 2 appeals to a wider audience than the first game did, though. Like, I hope it's less divisive. That'd be cool. With, you know, still retaining what made it so good and unique in the first place. Do I think Kojima will go back to PT again? No. No, I don't think he ever will. When do I think OD is going to come out? Not anytime soon. Yeah, the situation with OD is kind of weird. I'm not going to lie. It feels like, I mean, the last time we saw that game was on Microsoft stage, and Kojima brought out Jordan Peele, and or was it Microsoft stage or was it the Game Awards? I think it was the Game Awards. My bad. And he brought out Jordan Peele, and they basically were just kind of gushing over this game without actually really explaining what it is. And it's very obvious that whatever OD is going to be, it's going to be a very experimental game. It's going to be something very different. It's not going to be a traditional horror game. I'm on board for whatever it is. You know, I'm super fascinated to find out more, but it's safe to say that the more traditional AAA game that people expect from Kojima is coming in the form of Death Stranding 2. And then OD is going to kind of be this just more experimental, weird type of horror experience that Kojima's making. And it could be awesome. You know, I'm very interested to see what Kojima does in the horror genre. I mean, you could argue that PT was very experimental with the way it, you know, kind of forced the community to come together to figure it out. Jay Shaka, you think it's going to be a big flop? It could. Damn, unknown. Do I think Hassan will be a cameo in Astro or OD? Oh, man. Oh, man. Watch there actually be a blue box reference somewhere in there. That would be awesome. I would actually be completely on board with that. Xbox is king, says good afternoon, Xbox Army. Bro. Abandoned is literally abandoned. It is. It is. But you know what? If there's one thing I can say about Death Stranding 2 is that it is going to look very good. And, you know, I'm not saying graphics are everything. They're not. But I think there's a reason why Sony is positioning Death Stranding 2 alongside, you know, the PS5 Pro. They're clearly, these two things are going to happen at the same time. And I think it's because Kojima Productions is probably doing some awesome work with the Decima engine. Truthfully, I think that they did a phenomenal job. No. They did a phenomenal job with the Decima engine for Death Stranding 1. Again, Death Stranding 1 is one of the best looking PlayStation 4 games that came out that generation. And obviously they did the director's cut for the PS5, which looked very good as well. But I think we're just going to see things taken to the next level. I think Death Stranding 2 is very likely going to be the best looking PlayStation game we've seen so far. Ever. I think it's going to look better than Horizon. I think it's going to look better than Spider-Man 2. I think it's going to look better than Ratchet and Clank. Don't know. And I think a big reason for that is going to be the PS5 Pro. And it's pretty cool, man. I'm actually pretty damn excited for it. Boss, all right. I don't mind him wanting to sit on my lap or anything, but I don't like it when he tries to bite the microphone. Digital Dude 25 with a $2 super chat says OD plays best on PlayStation 6. Absolutely. That's probably how it's going to turn out too. Ironically enough, that's probably how it's going to turn out. I think it's safe to say that OD, you know, even though it's funded by Microsoft, I think it's safe to say that's going to be, yeah, that's going to be a multi-plat title. I think it might be available on everything, though. It's going to be taking advantage of cloud technology, so. Where's Luna? She'll put boss in check. She's right here, actually, next to me. Wait, are we saying Death Stranding 2 is coming out alongside the PS5 Pro? No. No, I want to make that clear. It's not going to launch with the PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro is coming out this November. And Death Stranding 2 will not be ready to launch by November. Boss, bro. But what I am saying is that you probably won't have to wait till the end of 2025 for Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 2 is probably going to be ready by summer, maybe even late spring, potentially. It sounds like they're in the polishing stage. Kojima says he's going to need a little bit more time. He says it's going to take a little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more what? A little bit more polish. Maybe another 6 months. Maybe another 6 months. Maybe another 9 months? Could it be 9 months? Could this game come out as soon as April? Or May? I think there's a real possibility. I think there's a real possibility. Was it confirmed to be a walking sim again, or do we know? It was confirmed in the trailer that you're still doing deliveries. However, it was also confirmed in the last trailer that you're trading in your rope for a stick. In other words, you're going to be shooting more stuff. There's going to be more traditional action. Boss, bro. Boss is going crazy. Guys, we need to get closer to that 25 member goal so we can feed Boss because he's actually getting crazy. Come on, dude. Calm down. We're not there yet. We're not there. Calm yourself. You think it might come out around February? No, I'm going to say that. So I'm going to rule out January, February, and March. I say this because Sony already confirmed that they don't have any big tentpole titles coming at that time. So we're looking at the earliest, at the absolute earliest April, but I think Q2 essentially or Q1. I think Death Stranding 2 might be ready to launch fiscal year Q1. Fiscal year 2025. Q1 fiscal year 2025 is what I'm trying to say. So that's April, May, and June. Somewhere between that time period, I think that's when Death Stranding 2 will be ready to launch. That is purely speculation on my part. I could be way off the mark. I just want to make that clear. But it just seems like Kojima's getting a little bit more comfortable kind of teasing out the game, showing himself playing it, talking about playing it, saying he needs a little bit more time. So I think it might, I really do feel confident that it's actually closer than we think. Do I think Microsoft could have canceled OD? Oh, no way. No chance. No. They'll just give Kojima as much money as he needs and as much time as he needs. They would never cancel what Kojima's working on. I think that they're just really thrilled to know that Kojima was willing to work with them. Irfin, yeah, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. Yeah, I've seen a few of you guys come in asking about that. Don't worry. We'll cover it. We'll cover it tomorrow. I definitely have something I want to say. Xbox is King says, I'm looking forward to Avowed. How come people act like they're a terrible developer now all of a sudden? They used to be very much loved. I don't know. I haven't been paying much attention to the conversation around Avowed. The last thing I heard was that the game's going to be locked at 30 FPS on the Series X, and some people were disappointed by that. Boss, bro, it's not time. It's just, I'm sorry, it's not time. Are you guys seeing this? It's not time, man. Chill. Soon. Listen, just putting it out there right now. Boss is desperate. Somebody here can drop a 20 bomb and make bro happy. Don't look at, I hold my hand out. He looks at my hand like, snacks? It's because I'm streaming later than normal. It's got him all messed up. He's all messed up, dude. I know. Boss, I can't let you chew my mic. Joshua, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm looking forward to it. The casting of Frank Stone, it does look good. I think I'm going to be playing that with Mrs. MBG. Human, blah, 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 blah. Cat winning argument. I am cat. Yeah, I agree. It is disappointing that we're only getting it digitally. I hate to see this trend. Dude, come on. I have to turn my chair to boss. No, Joshua, I will not be coming to the UK to watch Oasis, unfortunately. So, my prediction as of right now, we're going to be seeing Kojima tease out a little bit more of Death Stranding 2 throughout September, leading up to the full presentation that they're going to have at TGS. And I think at TGS, we will see a new gameplay demo. I think we're going to see the game running on PS5 Pro. And I think there's a good chance we could get a release date. Listen, if we don't get a release date for Death Stranding 2 in September, then I think there's a very, very, very good chance. at that point, like almost 100% chance we will get the release date revealed at the Game Awards in December of this year. Will I stream TGS? I don't think I'll be able to. I'll react to it, but I think it's happening at like 3 a.m. my time. So I don't think I'll actually be able to stream it. Yeah, Lone Wolf Gamer. I had to stream a little bit later today. I didn't mean to. I didn't want to. I had no choice. It was either that or don't stream at all. But I'm trying to keep a schedule as best I can. Maybe a state of play trailer saying more at TGS. Yeah, I could see that too. I could see Sony doing a state of play prior to TGS and then, showing off a new trailer. And then, Sony basically making it clear like you can see more of Death Stranding 2 presented at TGS. And considering we're likely to see a good chunk of it, that's why I do think we will see it again in December at the Game Awards. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Before I move on to the next topic, I got to ask you guys your thoughts. What do you think? What do you think about Death Stranding 2 and everything I had to say about it and what Kojima posted today? Do you think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself and I think, with my theory that it might be coming sooner than we think, or do you think I'm on to something here? I'm just curious before we move on. August release, in your opinion? An August release would be interesting. It'd be exactly like 1 year from now. Sage, you think it's going to be here soon? Irate Volcano, you think I'm on point? Whiskey Gaming, probably summer. Okay. Joshua, you think April? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to gauge this. I don't know if maybe I was just getting in my own head based off of what I read. If I just read what I wanted to and interpreted it the way I wanted to, but it seems like a lot of you guys are thinking, thinking something similar. All right. Well, we're going to move on to the next topic. All right. We have, let me see. There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot going on today, but we do have two other topics I want to discuss before we move to the members lounge. This stream will likely be a little bit on the shorter side, just because, again, the big topic that I want to discuss, I want to save for tomorrow so I can stream at a normal time. But sticking with Kojima, we're talking about Metal Gear Solid 4. So, no, I did not see that. I did not see the Call of Duty stream. Did I miss anything? I feel like I probably didn't miss anything. I mean, it's Call of Duty, Actually, I do have one question before I move on. For anybody who has been keeping up, because I'm going to play the Call of Duty beta, but for anybody who's been keeping up, did they confirm if there's going to be a third-person mode or not? Dance Stranding. Oh, man. Dance Stranding. What is going on? Oh, Jay Shako, you're saying yes, there is. So you could play zombies in third person. Okay, so they kept that, but you don't know about multiplayer yet. All right, fascinating. All right, I'm really happy that they made it that you could play zombies in third person. That's cool. Now I'm just wondering about the multiplayer. But yeah, I'm definitely going to play the Call of Duty beta. I'm looking forward to it. But right now, I want to talk about Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, the elusive PlayStation 3 exclusive. Apparently, basically getting confirmed by Konami that they're going to be bringing it to modern consoles, which shouldn't be much of a surprise, but I wanted to keep you guys up to date with this because this is one of my all-time favorite games. I know a lot of you guys love this game. And more importantly, I know that a lot of people, have been waiting years to find out when can I play this game on something other than a PlayStation 3 console. So before we go over this topic, guys, make sure you hit that like button. We're sitting at over 110 likes, which is awesome to see. Let's push for 125 likes. I also want to encourage you guys as we close in on the topics here and close in on this stream. Again, consider dropping some membership gifts. We're going to be moving to the members lounge after this. I want to try to get as many people in there as we possibly can. Hang out for a while. Sage Infinite says MGS4 broke my brain. Absolutely. Yes, it broke my brain too in the best possible way. A lot of fan service in Metal Gear Solid 4. Some would say maybe to a detriment, but I enjoyed it. But I have a report here from PlayStation Lifestyle. Metal Gear Solid 4 PS5 port teased by Konami producer. According to the official website, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection 1 is the, quote, first in a new collection of games from a legendary series, end quote, hinting at future collections. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots may finally come to modern consoles. It seems that reality is closing in on Konami as a Konami producer, teased a Metal Gear Solid 4 PS5 port for the inevitable Volume 2. In a recent interview with IGN, Konami producer Noriaki Akamura sheds a bit of light on the Metal Gear Solid 4 PS5 port. While not implicitly said, Akamura teases Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2 and MGS4 and its inclusion, quote, "We are definitely aware of the situation with MGS4, says Akamura. Unfortunately, we can't really say too much at the moment with Volume 1 containing MGS 1 through 3. ... You can probably connect the dots," end quote. Akamura also suggests fans stay tuned despite not revealing anything at the particular moment. Right now, we are still internally concerned about what we should be doing for the future of the series. So, sorry, we can't really reveal anything at this exact moment, but stay tuned. So, this is, come on, man. This is basically straight up confirmation. ... You can connect the dots. Like, all right, so we're going to be getting Metal Gear Solid 4. We're going to be getting MGS4 on modern consoles. And a question that I've seen pop up quite a few times from people, knowing that Metal Gear Solid 4 is a PlayStation 3 exclusive, and still is apparently, is it going to be exclusive to the PlayStation 5? The answer to that is no. When Metal Gear Solid 4 gets ported over to modern consoles, it will be also ported to the Xbox consoles, and it will be ported to PC as well. It's going to go everywhere, which I think is a good thing because, Metal Gear Solid 4 served its purpose when it was exclusive, right? It did what it needed to do. It sold PlayStation 3 consoles. It moved some units. 60 FPS would be nice. Yeah, we'll definitely get a 60 FPS in MGS4. Bro. Okay. Guys, I'm begging my chat. Please help me out here. Come on, dude. Come on. Look at this cat, dude. Boss, are you a fan of Metal Gear Solid 4? Guns of the Patriots? Who is your favorite character? Drebin? Was it Drebin? All right, hey, let go. You're gonna... Boss is having withdrawal. He is. He reached the feed me or property damage will be a result phase. Yeah, he already broke a piece of the mic here. Okay, come on. Take it easy. Take it easy. Steven, it's on you, bro. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. I appreciate it either way. Whether you want to if you want to drop it now or save it, either way, it's appreciated, bro. And he does it. Holy shit, Steven Leon. He says, look, bro, I'm going to give you an advance. You see that, boss? Look at that. Look at that, man. Look at Steven Leon. He dropped a 20 bomb for you. 20 membership gifts to literally get us right up to 25 so we can feed the beast. Steven, thank you so much, my friend. That's absolutely huge.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
Boss understands that now. It's time, bro. Now you can chill. Come on. Oh, my God. There you go. Oh, we got to feed Luna as well. She's at the bottom here. I've learned that I have to kind of give them their treats somewhat separately. Or, you know. Yeah, boss was more than ready, dude. He's literally interrupting the stream, chewing the freaking boom arm here. But Steven, bro, thank you again so much for the 20 bomb. Absolutely massive. That gets us right up to 25 members. So, guys, if anybody wants to continue with the member train here that DJ and Steven Leon have set up, by all means, please continue to do so. Because, as I said, we will be doing a members lounge after this. I just realized my light isn't turned on either. So things are looking... Did you guys notice that? Did you notice the lack of lighting? Be honest. Did you notice it? Or did you not notice it until I just said something? I'm just curious. This is a good time for me to gauge how big of a difference it actually makes. Wes, you're saying not really? No? Pretty much nobody noticed it? That's so funny. I'm turning on my lamp here. Is that better or worse? Bro, you ate those treats already? Ain't no way, dude. Ain't no way he ate those treats already. But guys, 20 people were just gifted. Thanks to Steven Leon. He comes in, he drops a 20 bomb on you guys. I just want to let you know that you have access to the members lounge that we did yesterday. You have access to the members lounge that we're going to do right after this. And again, go check out the Dual Sensibility podcast. Sorry if I sound like a broken record. I just want to continue to make people aware of this. I think that we do get quite a few new people receiving membership gifts, and they're just not aware of this member content, you know? Luna, don't act like you didn't just get treats. We need a goal of 50. Boss is still hungry. I got to be careful. I'm not trying to overfeed him, you know. Who knows how many treats he would eat if I didn't chill out and like kind of moderate it. Jay Shako says, got to promote. Shameless plug. Shameless plugs everywhere. Absolutely. Saying, holy shit, Pragmata is now showing back up on the PSN store. Interesting. Yeah, that's a game we've been waiting to get an update on for a long time. For a long time. I wonder what's going on with it. Huh. Maybe that's a game that could show up at next month's State of Play. That'd be a very welcome one. I think everybody would be very excited to see Pragmata. I think a lot of people are unaware that it's... I mean, look, when it was announced as a multi-plat title. I think some people are still kind of confused. They think Pragmata is like a... I think they think it's like an exclusive. It's not. Unless something changed. It's possible. Maybe Sony could have struck a deal or something. Damn, Gavin. But what do you guys think about what Konami had to say about Metal Gear Solid 4 and how they're basically out here confirming that this is what's next? Would you be excited for Metal Gear Solid 4 to be part of Volume 2? I would be. I'd be super hyped for that. Metal Gear Solid 4 is amazing. I just want to know, man, like, MGS4 shipped with Metal Gear Online 2, and that was such a fun time. Metal Gear Online 2 was so good. It was so good. Put a little bit of catnip on there. I guess, yeah, what other games would be part of Volume 2? You know what's crazy, though? I will say this. What's crazy is that Konami, I think, could remaster Metal Gear Solid 4 and probably sell it by itself, and it would sell well. But I hope they don't do that. What I would prefer is if they're going to do a Volume 2, remaster MGS4, put in maybe Peace Walker, and I guess MGS5. Maybe that would be the best way to do it. And I do wonder if they were to put Peace Walker in that collection, how much would they change? You know? I mean, how much would they upgrade is what I mean to ask. Because it was a PSP game after all. I feel like they could probably only go so far with it. But that's why I thought it was funny. Somebody mentioned earlier the idea of a Peace Walker remake. And I'm like, a Peace Walker remake would be very fascinating. Fun fact, there was an online multiplayer mode for Peace Walker as well. And it didn't really last long at all. You could say it was almost kind of pointless, but it existed. I'm just putting this out there because, like, dude, I just need to know what Konami's doing with Metal Gear Online. They're driving me nuts here. I'm sorry that I keep bringing it up. Did I get Volume 1? I do have it, but I decided not to play anything. I have a physical copy of it. I decided not to play it, though. I know that sounds crazy, and I rarely ever do that. Like, I rarely ever buy games that I don't play. But the reason being is because I've just decided that I don't want to touch Metal Gear again until MGS3 Remake comes out, because it's been so long since I played any Metal Gear games that I'm definitely itching to do so, but I want to go in kind of fresh, if that makes sense. Like, I was so tempted to play Metal Gear Solid 3 again, but I'm like, no, it's one of these things, you know? It's one of these things where knowing that Metal Gear Solid 3 is clearly going to succeed, the remake, it's clearly going to do well. It's obvious they're going to remake Metal Gear Solid 1 and Metal Gear Solid 2, and eventually probably Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5. Will I do a stream with the bandana? We could. Yeah, we could do a Metal Gear stream, bro. I'll think about it. I'll break out the mullet and the bandana. I would say the eye patch, but then I probably would struggle playing. It's possible. We could do it. Leo Jimmy coming in with a $50 super chat. Leo Jimmy with the support today, bro. Thank you so much for that, man. Was not expecting that. You're saying MBG money. What are these fools talking about? Ain't nothing to play on PlayStation. The forced console time exclusivity for Black Myth. Stellar Yams. Oh, shit. Rise of the Ronin. The damn Marvel vs. Capcom 2 collection. Them boys starving over there. We fat over here eating good. Yeah, dude, we're like boss. We're snacking like boss, bro. Every day. Every day we're snacking. No, I hear you, Leo. Trust me, man. Trust me. I see it way more than I like to admit, and I'm not even looking for it. Everywhere I go, you know, when it comes to just posting on Twitter or reading comments or just coming across random other posts on Twitter or Reddit, I will say one place that's actually pretty good, that's not as bad, because maybe I'm being a little bit facetious when I say it's literally everywhere. The actual PlayStation 5 subreddit community is pretty good overall. Like, that seems to be a community of people that understand that, like, there's plenty to play, and there's a pretty good amount of positivity, which is nice to see. It's like a breath of fresh air. But it's always good to see people in the community here, you know, just kind of making it. Look, I want to say this, Leo. I think you bring up something interesting. I want to pull something up on Twitter, and I want to play it for you guys, because I think this speaks directly to what you're talking about here, Leo. Let me find the clip. Because I actually responded to this clip. Let me make sure you guys can hear it. So I'm going to play the audio. This is from, I think, the most recent Sacred Symbols episode. This is from the most recent Sacred Symbols episode, and it was a clip that Colin, I think, put out himself. And so I'll just play it for you, and I'll read you what I responded with, all right?
There's this really made up narrative that PlayStation 5 is having a bad year. It's totally made up. And it's just funny to me. In the same year, you get The Last of Us Part 2 ported to PlayStation 5. You get Helldivers 2. You get Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. You get Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin, right? And then Astrobot, Silent Hill 2, and a few other products. Like, yes, what a bad year. Horrible. Until Dawn remake. It's like, where does this narrative come from that PlayStation 5 is having a bad year or has no games? It really is exclusively seen on social media by people that I don't think like games. Like, if you can get through all of the games I just named and none of them are for you, then you're not much of a console video game player, and that's totally fine. But if nothing, Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth didn't speak to you, like, there are lots of games on the console. I just can't abide by this. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And comes from, it's totally disingenuous, especially when you compare it to what's going on both with Nintendo and Microsoft this year. Sony's having an unusually strong year just because it's not Naughty Dog making the games, although they did make one of the remakes, I guess, ports. It's a strange narrative.
So that was the clip. And Leo, this is why I wanted to play it, because he's speaking about the exact same thing you're speaking about here, which I think a lot of people are. And I actually responded to this clip, and this is what I said, and I'm curious to see if you guys agree or disagree. I said it simply comes down to Sony conditioning everyone to expect a big tentpole title, many times multiple big tentpole titles, every year from their studios on top of everything else we're already getting. Do these games matter? Absolutely. But that's why this narrative exists. And that wasn't, I guess you could say that was me kind of like trying to justify the narrative, but I think that's the most reasonable answer. That's not like some kind of dramatic, like Sony doesn't have any games and they suck. But I also think it acknowledges the reality that even though, like, for example, everything you listed here, Leo, Jimmy, there's a ton to play, and a lot of it is exclusive to PlayStation, or is exclusive at least for a good portion of time to PlayStation. So if you're a PlayStation 5 player, you cannot say there isn't content there. You can't say that there aren't games. What you can still say, though, is, well, if I'm a PlayStation player that specifically wants some big, exciting games from PlayStation Studios, then that's exactly where I think my answer comes in, where why is that expectation there? Because what I think a lot of people don't realize, or they do realize it, but they don't think about it enough at times like this, is that, dude, Sony's run between like 2015 and like 2022, or even up to 2023, has been unbelievable. Like, think about it. I mean, you're talking about having years where you're getting Spider-Man and God of War coming out in the same year. You're getting years with Death Stranding and Days Gone coming out in the same year. And years of like Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima releasing the same year. Years like Horizon, Forbidden West, God of War, Ragnarok, and GT7 are all releasing the same year. Returnal, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the launch lineup of the PS5. I mean, it's just staggering. It's just a staggering amount of just massive tentpole AAA games. And yeah, Steven, I agree with that. See, that's the thing, is like, I don't think that's a problem, right? And I can understand why if somebody reads that comment, they think I'm saying it's a problem. I'm just trying to explain, like, this narrative exists because of that. Like it could just be no other way. It's like if you have a star sports player that just every game they're putting up numbers, every game they just don't miss. And then suddenly they have one or two games where they're not doing poorly, but they're not putting on that type of show. You know, they're not playing nearly as good as they have, and suddenly the consistency drops a little bit. And so there are going to be some people who respond to that by being like, oh, well, their run's over. You know, this player is it's only going to go downhill from here. You know, and you're going to have other people who are like, no, it's just a couple of bad games. It happens. They're going to, this player's probably going to get back on it and put up those numbers again, you know? And I think that's just exactly what we're seeing with PlayStation. But the fact of the matter is, and I've also tried to explain this many times to people, this is maybe a little bit defensive, but I think it's necessary when you see some of the terrible takes that you do across the internet. Listen, the fact of the matter is Sony has significantly more than a lot of the competition does. You know, Sony has ensured that if you bought a PlayStation 5 this year, or even if you're somebody who was there from the beginning, like me and many of you, you're going to have plenty to choose from throughout 2024. Because even for me right now, dude, like, I'm looking forward to Astrobot. That's in like 9 days now. But then right after that, Until Dawn, which, I know not everybody's excited for that, but I'm looking forward to it because I never played it before and it looks good. And then right after that, Silent Hill 2 Remake, which Sony secured as a 1-year exclusive. And I get it. Like, there are going to be people like, well, that doesn't count because it's coming to PC and it's going to go to Xbox probably in a year. And it's like, what do you mean it doesn't count? I don't get it. Like, if the conversation is what can PS5 players look forward to, I'm going to say that counts. Absolutely. And that's not even talking about any of the games that came prior, like FF7 Rebirth, Helldivers 2, I mean, he mentioned Grand Blue Fantasy, which I actually forgot about, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin. I think where people are getting confused is that two things can be said and be true at the exact same time. Number one, Sony has had incredible output this year in terms of just feeding the PlayStation player base a lot of games to play, a lot of exclusives, a lot of console exclusives. That's absolutely true, and there's no denying that. You just can't deny it. It is a fact. You can hate every single game, which would be crazy because there would be a lot of games to hate, but you can hate every single game, but you cannot take away that fact. But this can also be true. Sony has not put on a big show in recent memory to show a more mid to long-term roadmap from their internal studios, specifically a lot of the heavy hitter studios that are known to drop the biggest and best games for PlayStation. Those two things they are. It's not just that they can be, they are. They are true at the same exact time. And people in the year 2024, for some reason, too many people have a struggle being able to find the truth that lies in the middle and realize that, that actually makes complete sense. That is the answer. People need to be on one extreme end or the other, where it's either the dry station 5 or Sony never misses and they're perfect and they're the best of the best 24/7. And it's like, both of those things sound too extreme for me. And I think the reality is actually somewhere in the middle. And I think it's exactly what I just said. It's that the content's there, the games are there. Sony has not been slacking in terms of making sure people have games to play, making sure PS5 players are well fed. But that doesn't mean that we know. Oh, I know, Steven. Bro, you don't trust me. I don't know. Well, Steven, I don't even know if you're talking to me at this point. Wait, Steven, are you talking about me? I can't tell sometimes. Sometimes I read chats from people and they're not tagging a person they're talking to. And okay. No, I'm not taking it that way at all, dude. Trust me. believe me when I tell you, Steven, and this goes for everybody listening, like, I am the last person that will give criticism to Sony that you see people doling out right now in the form of they're not delivering, or there's been nothing to play, or there are no games, or they're dropping the ball. Like, listen, I've had to dole out criticism to Sony where it's needed. I've had to talk about Concord. We did talk about Concord. I've had to talk about the Bungie situation. I've had to talk about the fact that I'm a little bit disappointed that there apparently isn't going to be a showcase, but a state of play instead. I've talked about that. And I think those are all fair things. But I am not that person that, like, I'm in agreement with Colin here. I'm in agreement that, like, because I've seen the narrative so much. I've seen it so much. I see this narrative come up. And if I were to look at the replies here, dude, like, there are so many people. You know what's really weird? What's really, really weird about this post from him is a lot of the replies underneath are people talking about DEI and political stuff, and he didn't even mention Concord. That to me is the weirdest shit. Where he didn't even mention Concord. I don't think he did it. Maybe I don't know. I just listened to that clip. I don't recall him mentioning Concord. So he wasn't even counting that. Stellar Blade is like the opposite of Concord. And a lot of these replies, it just goes to show how, I'll be honest with you, man, it goes to show how brain dead Twitter/X really is, man, where, like, people didn't watch this clip, they didn't watch this clip. They just saw that Concord is out and everybody's hating on Concord. So this is a PlayStation content creator. So they're just gonna jump on that and start posting these replies that are not at all relevant to what's even being said or stated. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But I've seen, that's the thing, man. I've seen all the different perspectives, and the perspective that I lean towards more so than anything is the one that I think most rational people have, most gamers who play on PlayStation 5 have, which is, dude, there's been a shit ton to play. There's been a shit ton of games to play. There's even more coming. And it's kind of like how the other day people were being super, super negative about Nope Showcase, which I admit I was getting pretty negative too. But people were being like really, really, really negative. And it's like, guys, listen, September, this is going to be September for PlayStation. Astrobot, PlayStation 5 Pro reveal, State of Play, PlayStation, and Kojima Productions with Death Stranding 2 at TGS, and possibly more announcements at TGS. This is what Sony's doing in the month of September. So it's like, look, I understand, like, I want the showcase too. But I can't sit here and pretend that I'm not extremely excited about literally all of the things that I just listed. Just because that's a really short period of time to have all those things happening at one time. And then literally 2 months later, after October, November, we're going into the Game Awards, which the Game Awards always has massive announcements. Probably have some huge announcements this year because apparently some developers are delaying their games for the Pro. Steven, you're saying it's mostly Xbox zealots. I struggle saying that word. Tiring to project their lack of games that's new and not coming to PS5. Yeah, that I will say, man, portions of the Xbox fan base. Listen, there are portions of the PlayStation fan base on the internet that can be insufferable at times. But I've noticed that ever since Microsoft has been kind of really changing their strategy, like, very rapidly, and like you're saying, just kind of, hey guys, our big one more thing moment is you guys losing an exclusive to PlayStation. There is a small but very vocal and insufferable portion of this community that mainly exists just on the internet, and you can tell, like, they're not playing games, dude. They're not. They're not playing games. they're too focused on trying to fight and argue with people and make shit up and run with false narratives just to try to, I don't know, stir shit up and stir the pot. I did see that, Nick. Yeah, that was pathetic. That was pathetic, bro. You're saying this narrative comes from PlayStation not having true permanent exclusive games. PlayStation games are timed, while Steam and Nintendo has true permanent exclusive games, unlike PlayStation and Xbox. Wait, what games does Steam have that are? I'm not too familiar. What games does Steam have that are permanently exclusive? I'm not saying they don't. I just genuinely don't know what some of them might be. I was thinking Left 4 Dead for a moment, but I'm like, wait, no, Left 4 Dead came to Xbox. God damn. That's sad that PlayStation never got Left 4 Dead. I mean, I don't know that that's where the narrative comes from, though. Counter-Strike 2. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I thought there was a console version of Counter-Strike. Or did I just imagine that? Oh, yeah, Half-Life Alyx. Yeah, I saw that game Deadlock is apparently coming, too. That's going to be really interesting. Yeah, I do get what you're saying. That doesn't help the situation. But, like, I don't know, man. I think most PlayStation players are over the idea of games eventually going to PC. And I get what you're saying. Like, maybe Steam isn't necessarily reciprocating. It's not like Steam's coming out and saying, oh, that's very kind of you, Sony. We're going to start porting some of our games to PlayStation now. I mean, maybe one day they could, but I get what you're saying. But I don't know, man. I feel like the one thing Sony needs to just focus on if we're talking about the platform and the consoles is they just need to focus on making sure that PlayStation buyers, like people who go out and explicitly support the console, Sony just needs to make sure that they are the priority. There's nothing wrong if they want to support PC, and they want to port games after a certain amount of time, or if they want to drop their multiplayer games day and date, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with any of this, but they just need to make sure that the people who are going out of their way to support that console are getting, the priority treatment with the biggest, newest games and the most exciting stuff that they're offering. I think as long as they do that, PlayStation players will be fine, and a lot of PlayStation players won't move to PC. But I think that's, like, when we talk about why a certain group of people on the internet are being so vocal and toxic all the time, I think it's because, dude, if you look at Xbox, man, I mean, it's a bad look. It's a bad look for the console buyers. A lot of what Microsoft is doing is basically them essentially saying, sorry, like we really don't care what your expectations were when you bought this console. We need to worry about the health of the Xbox brand. And I get that from a business perspective, but it's more so the ABK deal that's driving it than anything, not even just the lack of console sales. I mean, the lack of console sales is definitely accelerating it, but I do think that, yeah, we're seeing like a group of people that, I mean, it's like I said, dude, at what point is Microsoft just basically asking their fan base to go buy a PlayStation instead? And that's fucking bad. That's just bad for anybody who cared about the Xbox console. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with you supporting the Xbox console. Support what you want to support. But there are definitely people who are on the internet that they just can't deal with the fact that, like, hold on, so PlayStation players got Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They also got Helldivers 2. They got Stellar Blade. They got Rise of the Ronin. Hell, we could just throw The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered on there if you want, although I think some people might not count that. But then they're also going to, we got Concord, of course. I'm not like, look, I'm not saying that, oh man, it's a really great game we should throw up there, but it's there, it exists. But we're getting Astrobot, we're getting Silent Hill 2 remake, we're getting Until Dawn, we're getting well, actually Switch is getting Horizon Lego as well. I'm just saying, it's like, so we're seeing that happen this year. We're hearing the PS5 Pro is also coming. So PS5 players who care about having a more powerful version of the PS5, they're going to have something to look forward to on top of all that. And then on top of that, Microsoft is coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, we're putting some of our games, more of our games over. Like, we're going to start with 4. So here are 4 games that you were never supposed to get. Now you're getting. Sea of Thieves sells over 1 million copies, which is huge. Like, guys, Sea of Thieves came out in 2018. You better believe Microsoft is seeing dollar signs in their eyes. Like, they're like, holy shit, if Sea of Thieves could sell 1 million units on PS5, what the hell could our other franchises do? Sea of Thieves is nowhere near as big as some of Microsoft's other franchises. And it sold 1 million, no problem. And then they come out and they say, oh yeah, one more thing at Gamescom. Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation. And then the developers are coming out basically saying that they're excited to bring it to PlayStation. I mean, look, man, I get it. If I bought an Xbox and I cared about the Xbox console still, like, I can't imagine, like, if I was still an Xbox fan in that way and paying attention to, like, very close attention to what Microsoft is doing in the console space, I would be so fucking pissed. I'd be like, dude, this is the worst. Like, this is well, to be honest, my anger wouldn't be too bad, because I would just be like, okay, Microsoft, message received. You want me to either go to PC or buy a PlayStation. And considering I prefer console, I would buy a PlayStation. I mean, I already did. I've already been through this, But that's a shitty thing for people who prefer the console experience. And Microsoft is just being like, yeah, you guys might want to go to the other side. Tim Dog is claiming he's been told from someone in the industry that Forza and Starfield will be on PS5 and Pro within the next 6 months. Holy shit. I don't know if I believe the Starfield thing, because apparently all the insiders are saying that didn't even begin yet. That didn't begin production. Forza, though, I'm really curious about that. Forza would be a really interesting one. Destin said it. Well, I mean, at this point, it's clear that everything's coming over at some point, and I just think that that's a crazy thing, man. Where it's like, what is up with people and their weird narratives? Where it's like, yo, let's attack PlayStation, even though Sony's been delivering a lot of games for their console players to keep them well fed, and just kind of ignore the fact that Microsoft is they're just starting to go full multiplat. I don't understand that. I don't understand. I understand. I do understand why people would do that. What I don't understand is how these narratives are allowed to persist the way they are. Where it's like, dude, come on. Like, give it a rest. Like, I get it. Talk about Concord, bro. I've talked about Concord. I've talked about Concord to a point where I'm all corded out, bro. Like, I don't want to talk about it no more, man. I want to move on. Please, don't make me do it. Okay, you're saying this perspective is skewed, though, through the lens of a PlayStation fan. There are millions and millions of satisfied Xbox owners who feel that they have tons to play. For now, okay. But I think that, I don't know, man. I think that the real problem, I think it's like a marketing thing at this point, right? Because I get where you're coming from. Okay, that is true. You're right. There are a lot of more casual gamers that just picked up an Xbox and will just buy an Xbox, especially in the US, right? In Microsoft's main market. You're right. That does exist. But I think that it comes down to a marketing thing where, like, once the next generation rolls around, once the next Xbox comes out, like, I'm interested to see how intense Microsoft goes into the marketing. Because they could lean into the Game Pass and more, like the bigger multi-plat games as a way to just kind of court as many casuals as they can. Like the people who don't give a shit about these first party games or exclusivity or anything like that. Because you're right, those people do exist. But I think it's just like, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I could see Microsoft backing off their marketing and Sony going even harder with their marketing because one has everything to gain and the other just has more to lose. You know what I'm saying? And I think because of that, I mean, dude, like I'm not saying that millions of people. Oh wow, that Rudy. What? What? Hold on now. Hold on now. Rudy. What? I'm sorry. It just caught my attention like as I was mid sentence. I'm like, what? That can't be. Is that real? What? Sorry. Rudy says, fun fact, Concord has a higher Metacritic score than Dead by Daylight. And that's wild to me because I've put like 1,500 hours into Dead by Daylight. Holy shit. Yeah, dude, that really breaks my brain. I believe you. I think Dead by Daylight's at a 64 and what Concord's at like a 66. Holy shit. I don't even remember what I was saying. Rudy, why you got to break my brain like that mid sentence? I'll just finish what I was saying, and Sean, I'm going to read your super chat. I'll just say that I think the reality is Microsoft is probably going to just very lightly market the next Xbox and not go all in on it, just because I think the announcements that Microsoft is making now, the casuals might not care as much, but they might catch wind of stuff. I think it, you know what I think it really comes down to? I think it really comes down to when Microsoft decides to announce their like heavy hitter franchises, like Forza, Gears, or Halo. One of those three. I think the moment that happens, because even the casuals know, they may not buy Xbox necessarily for those franchises. Like if they're just buying the Xbox, to play sports games or Call of Duty or whatever else, or some free to play, Fortnite or whatever. But even they are aware, even the casuals are aware that like that's Xbox's game, And I think once that happens, it really, I think, kind of transcends this kind of bubble that we're kind of referring to. And I think everybody is made aware at that point. Like, wait, holy shit. You can play Gears. You can play Forza on PlayStation. You can play Halo on PlayStation. Again, I don't know when this is happening, but I think when that does happen, I think that's going to change everything for the PlayStation console. And I think it's going to change everything for the Xbox console, like very quickly. I think right now we're seeing a bit of a slow burn. But I think once those bigger moments occur in the future, I think that's going to be kind of like, it's going to just like start to really gain momentum. That's one way to put it. Sean, you're saying here, just tuning in now, MBG, perfect. Listening for a really late hour drive from the girlfriends. What quarter do you reckon Death Stranding 2 will come next year? And did you catch the COD Next event? Well, yeah, I'm glad you can tune in. I know it's a little bit later than normal. So, anybody who kind of is tuning in now randomly, I appreciate it. I know it's definitely not on schedule. I think Death Stranding 2, I did say this earlier, but I'll reiterate it here again. I think Death Stranding 2 is coming fiscal year 25 Q1. I think it's coming between April, May, and June. I think that sounds like the perfect time for a game like Death Stranding 2 to drop. I could be wrong about that. Sony and Kojima could be saving it for a holiday release, but it seems to me that the game is actually much closer. I did bring up a Kojima post earlier where he basically said he's playing through the game and he's giving some feedback to his team and he just needs a little bit more time. And to me, it sounds like the game is enough. It damn near sounds like again, I don't want to like read too much into it, but it almost sounds like the game is in the final polishing stages, where it's like it needs probably at least like another 6 months of just polishing because it is a big game. It's a massive AAA game, open world, um, but it's not going to need like another year, year and a half, or 2 years to cook. So I'm thinking Q1 of fiscal year 2025. And when it comes to the COD Next event, no, I also forgot to ask you guys because I've just been kind of catching random bits and pieces of this COD Next event. What's going on with Nuketown? I saw Nuketown trending. Is Nuketown coming back, or did they change it? Hey, don't you chew that? Don't you chew that, boss? Bad boy. Boss is getting like aggressive over here. Did you not get enough? Did Steven Leon not feed you enough, bro? Steven Leon's starting to feel the pressure. Like, bro, I got to be responsible for this cat now. Come here. Come on. Saying it is a new map. I don't know why dude, I ask my chat these questions sometimes and then I just sit here like completely forgetting that, dude, Google's right in front of you. No offense to you guys. It's just there's always a bit of a delay. Black Ops 6 has a new take on Nuketown. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will feature a new version of Nuketown called Sandhouse. Oh shit, wait, what? Sandhouse? A screenshot of the Sandhouse map shows Nuketown buried in sand with what appears to be a massive crater in the background. Further details about the map, including spawn points, are currently unknown. Why are they calling it Sandhouse? So it is like Nuketown, but they're giving it a different name? Is it like a restructured version of the map? The gaming industry may need to fail and burn jobs with dumb ideas like multi-platform before they rebuild. Damn, hopefully not. Steven, you're saying, like I see, I'll send my wild boy cats to you. They will put him in his place. I do, yeah. Boss acts. He tries to act nice and tough, man, but I'm not so sure. I think Boss would get put in his place. I think he would. I see we have a. Oh, by the way, can you see Luna with her head leaned up against? I just noticed. You could just see her ears and the top of her head. That's so funny. Oh man, she's like knocked out. She's resting her head against this portion and using it as a pillow. That's funny. See, we have a direct donation from Henry 3K. Really appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate all the direct donations, by the way, guys. I always try to, I forgot this stream, but I try to remind people that you can obviously continue to just super chat through YouTube as you normally do. Do whatever you're most comfortable with, but there is a direct donation link at the top of the chat, and you can leave a message same way you would a super chat. Except 100% of what you donate goes directly towards the content creator, and it definitely helps out. So Henry 3K, you're saying this year has shown Xbox in a bad light. Developers not being incentivized to port their games, games coming late or skipping Xbox, games locked at 30 FPS on console. Yeah, I agree with you, Henry 3K. I think that basically Sony and Microsoft are in opposite positions right now when it comes to the traditional home console. I think that Sony is in a strong position, regardless of what people think. I've tried to explain that while Sony has had some bad PR this year, they've had a lot of good PR as well. And that good PR just comes in the form of they're releasing games that you can either only get on PS5, or if you are a console player, that's the only console you can get it on, right? If you don't plan to go to PC. that's the best PR you can have. You know, it does take us back.
Enough from me. We're gonna have the games start talking.
It does take us back, doesn't it? As cringe as that was, it's still true, man. Like, that's the best PR a games company and a platform holder and a console can have, is when it has games releasing for it that people like and enjoy. But when it comes to Microsoft, not only have there been a dearth of games, but yeah, a lot of just bad marketing, like you're saying, man. Losing out on Black Myth Wukong. I see the coping, and I get it. Like, I try not to use that word too much because I think it's an overused word and people use it in like mean ways. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I genuinely see like some coping from certain Xbox fans on the internet where they're like, "No, it's still coming to Xbox, bro. It's still coming." And it's like, dude, listen, I'm not saying it will never come, but like, come on, like you gotta know, like, this ain't good. This ain't good. Like, it's having a couple issues on PS5. Like, that shit's not going to be optimized for the Series S anytime soon. It's the same exact situation that was there with Baldur's Gate 3 last year. And this isn't me trying to dunk on Xbox players because, dude, there's nothing for me to dunk on. Like, dude, Phil's doing that for me. The executives at Xbox are literally doing it themselves. There's no reason to. And I'm not trying to play those games. But it's just like they're in the opposite boat right now, man. Like, PlayStation's poised to rejuvenate the PS5 by showing off a PS5 Pro, Death Stranding 2. And look, I'm not saying we're going to get those big major first-party reveals this year, but even if those first-party reveals come sometime in 2025, like after Q1 or something, boss, bro, even if it takes that long, you know? You guys hear that? Hold on. Chill. All right, relax. Oh my God. Did you guys just hear that shit? Like, bro, I'm just trying to remove you from my lap and put you on the ground. And he's like, holy shit. I guess maybe he was too close to Luna. Was that boss? That was boss, dude. He was freaking out. He thought I was trying to put him on Luna over there. Like, no, dude. Somebody's feeling vulnerable. Can you calm down? He's got such, yeah. He is being a brat. Meanwhile, he goes and he messes with Leia and starts fighting with her. And Leia starts like screaming, defending herself. And Boss is just like, But then Luna, who's like half the size of Leia, comes up. It's like, "Hey guys, you playing?" And Boss gets all pissed off and serious. Feels like he's like genuinely threatened. Like, dude, animals are weird, bro. Animals are so weird. Sorry, I just realized MDGR Zolom or Midgar, I don't know if that's short for Midgar Zolom, says MBG smashing them Xbots. I guess, I don't know, is it coming off that way? I'm not trying to, I appreciate the super chat. I'm not trying to like come off that way. It's just my honest assessment. Like, I don't think that, again, I think people get a little bit offended, or I think they get more offended than they should. Not you guys, but when they hear me talk about Xbox, where it's like, listen, man, I don't have a problem with. Okay, so it was short for Midgar. I don't have a problem with people who want to buy Xboxes. If you like Xbox better than PlayStation, dude, like, even now, I'm not gonna, do you enjoy what you enjoy. You're saying it's my assessment. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't even think you mean it in such a bad way, I don't think you mean it in such a bad way. It's just the way things are going, man. It's just the way things are going. The thing I'm most interested in discovering, because with all the stuff this wasn't even a planned topic of discussion, but it's fine. It's something we can just kind of riff off of here before we go to the members lounge. Okay, I get what you're saying, Midgar. You're saying it's just your assessment, generally speaking. Okay. Yeah, it's basically a bonus topic. My assessment on those fools myself. Yeah. It can be irritating. Trust me. I see some ridiculous nonsense where I'm just like, guys, why? Like I just like sitting here like, why? Why is this a thing? But the thing I am most interested in finding out in the coming months and years is there's this kind of newly spun narrative that I'm sure many of you have seen. And this narrative is essentially, well, the Xbox console's basically dying, and Microsoft is slowly but surely bringing it to an end. They're winding it down. So I guess this must mean consoles are just done. You know, that same thing's going to happen to PlayStation. Sony's going to have to start moving away from the console to find growth and to be okay and to find profitability. And people are awfully quiet about Nintendo though, which is interesting. And I think that's what I'm most interested in seeing, and that's why I'm really interested in seeing what happens in September, because it's like the amount of hate that I've seen thrown towards the PlayStation 5 Pro. And I'm not saying I'm not saying people shouldn't have their opinions on it. No, have your opinion, but I'm just saying it's what I've observed. I've observed a lot of hate where people have basically made it sound like, and these are posts that get upvotes, these are replies that get upvotes, and it creates this perception of like, oh man, this thing's gonna flop. And I'm dying to see how the PS5 Pro is received. Like, is that what's going to happen? Like, it's going to be very divisive, and people are going to be like, oh, you know what? No, I don't know about this Pro. And they're going to have some people being like, no, it's fine, it's good. Or is it just going to come out and everybody's going to be like, holy shit, this thing's awesome? You get what I'm saying? Like, I really wonder which direction it's going to go in. And I think that there's a lot that we're going to learn next month in terms of not only PlayStation's approach, again, a new era of Herman Holst and Hideaki Nishino as the CEOs, but also people's reactions. It'll be interesting to gauge. MBG, see, this is what I'm interested in. Piper, you're saying, MBG, the stuff that you're saying simply is not real. That is not a reality of how people feel about Xbox. What? I'm trying to understand where I could be missing something here. See, this is what I'm saying. I try to hear the other side. I'm not just going to immediately get defensive and be like, no, you're all fucking wrong. Like, no, I genuinely want to, like, does it maybe come in the form of the only people left supporting Xbox directly are the most loyal and dedicated? And so because they are the most loyal and dedicated, they're not a whole lot, but because they are the most loyal and dedicated, the reality that I'm describing is not applicable to them, because their reality is they're simply just enjoying what is there, regardless of whether or not it's exclusive to them or not. They're just fine with what is. That's as far as I can go, because this idea of like it not being the reality of how people feel about Xbox, like there's also the Game Pass angle. Maybe that's another thing you might be speaking to, where it's like people actually are feeling much better about Xbox than you realize because they still have Game Pass. Maybe. I don't know, man. Like, people kind of talk about Game Pass like it's the cheapest thing in the world. Like, it's $20 a month, dude. That shit adds up. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely cheaper than buying a shit ton of games at full price. It is ultimately cheaper than that. But you're still paying for it. And if you stay subscribed, it will add up. And the only way you can really ultimately feel like that is worth your money is it works the same way it does with all the other subscription services, with like TV or like these streaming services with movies and shows. You got to make sure you're using it and getting your money's worth, So I don't know. I just I think here's how I see the reality, right? I see the reality as the console market is still here, it's still relevant, and it's still making a ton of money. There's still a lot of money to be made in the console market. And there are still 3 players in that console market: Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Only one of those players has reached a point of critical, I guess you could say, critical damage, that the only way they can survive now and even justify the production of future consoles is they have no choice but to, essentially remove what were once all the reasons to buy their console. And the other 2 players, that being Sony and Nintendo, don't actually have to do that. One of them is choosing to do that, but very selectively. The other is not doing it at all. So to me, that's the reality, right? And logically speaking, if that is the reality, if a person who is trying to decide which console should I buy, Nintendo's console, Sony's console, or Xbox's console. Let's leave out PC for a moment, because I know a lot of PC players would say, why not just go to PC? And I'm just leaving that out because I feel like if you want to go to PC, go to PC. Then you're not even, the only console you're probably going to even consider at that point is a Switch, right? But if you're somebody who's like more traditionally in the home console gaming, or just console gaming in general, and you're going to ask yourself, which of these 3 consoles should I buy? You're immediately going to notice that Nintendo's console is automatically different. It's different for 2 reasons. It's a hybrid, and you can only get their games there. So maybe you decide, okay, I definitely am going to buy Nintendo's console because I want Nintendo's games. So then maybe you have to decide at that point, okay, do I go to PlayStation? Do I go to Xbox? Or we can throw PC in there now. Do I go to PC? Let's weigh the pros and the cons. Pros and cons of going to PC. Well, you have a lot of versatility. You can make your rig as powerful as you want. You can upgrade your components. You have a lot more freedom, Cons, it can become expensive if you're that serious about it. And from what I've heard, and this is not through my own experience, it's anecdotal, so maybe I'll piss some PC players off and they'll be like, no, that's not true. I mean, I have heard that sometimes it can be annoying to get certain games up and running, and it can be just a bit of a nuisance. Sometimes it's not as smooth. Not to say that it's difficult, but it's just not necessarily as smooth as you just put the disc in or boot up the game on the console and it just works. So there is that aspect where you might have to tweak things a little bit. The pros and cons of buying a PS5. Pros, you will still get the big day one tentpole exclusives only on that console, and you have no idea when they're going to leave. It's the simplicity of it. You just hook it up under your entertainment center and it works. It's about as simple as it gets. Just a games machine. It can be a multimedia machine. And then if you look at Xbox, the only pro that the Xbox has, the only pro, and to be fair, the cons for PS5, by the way, are you are more limited. It's closed hardware. You can't upgrade it. Like, it just stays the same. It stays stagnant throughout, unless you get a pro, I guess. If you want to play multiplayer, you do have to pay for that. It's a huge con. And I'm sure there are others that people can think of. But I'm just thinking of this shit off the top of my head. When it comes to Xbox, it seems to me that there's only one pro. And this is what I think is such a death rattle for the Xbox console. It's that the only pro is that you have the simplicity factor. You plug and play. It just plays the games. That's it. I mean, I guess maybe if you want to take it further, maybe some people prefer the Xbox controller, but even then you can use these controllers on PC. So I just think that it's Sony still at least has that one factor No, I didn't see that MRPD. I'll check that out in just a moment. I guess I would say the Series S is a pro for Microsoft, but I think it's actually a negative for them at this point. But I'm just trying to say that, like, you know, when you evaluate it in this way, that's true, Rashtam. That's true. You're saying you could play all the casual games like 2K, Fortnite, FIFA for $2.99. That is true. Yeah. All right. So I guess you could say that's a pro as well. But I feel like even with that pro or that advantage, if you want to call it that, it doesn't seem to be doing much for them. Certainly not enough. I don't know. I don't even know how I got on this discussion. I guess I'm just trying to say that evaluating the console market once again, it really does just seem like it makes me question why would you choose an Xbox over PlayStation? Why would you choose an Xbox over Nintendo? Why would you choose an Xbox over PC? And I get that people will ask me the same question, like, MBG, why do you choose a PS5 over PC? And listen, if somebody turned to me and said, dude, I choose Xbox over PlayStation just because I like Xbox better. Okay, I'm not going to argue. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to argue with them and be like, no, bro, you're fucking wrong. Like, I'm just like, okay, you do you. But I feel like at least with PlayStation and of course with Nintendo, like Nintendo, you can say, I choose them because, dude, I don't get their games literally anywhere else. And I feel like right now, what I can say for PlayStation, this could change. I'm just saying it could change. I wouldn't be shocked if in the future it changes. But for right now, I can say, I'm going to laugh when it's announced next month that this changes. But for now, in this moment, August 28th, 2024, I can say that the games that Sony puts out from their first party studios that are not multiplayer, I can only get on their console. Like Astrobot, I can only get on PS5. That's Stranding 2, unless they change something, I can only get on PS5. Wolverine only on PS5. And then event like I don't want to wait years to play these games on PC. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying that is, I think, still a relatively compelling reason for somebody to consider a PS5 over the Xbox console. Not over Nintendo's console. Yeah, B Flesher, that's what I'm trying to say though. That's why I'm trying to say, B Flesher, that like at the end of the day, I'm just right now I'm choosing to get in the weeds of the arguments, and I don't even know why I'm doing that. There's no reason to do that. I guess I'm just at this point I'm just basically talking, right? I'm just saying stuff. But you're right, B Flesher. You said, but MBG, even if that changed, you said yourself, you never go to PC. Well, it's not that I would never go to PC. I am already on PC in a way. I don't really game on it. You know, I don't game on PC hardly ever. If Sony were to give up all their exclusivity and they're like, listen, we're putting a launcher on PC and this whole shit, like I would have to think about it. I would have to weigh it out. Like I'd have to seriously consider, like, well, you know, I don't like playing on a monitor at a desk. Like I'd have to think, do I want to hook up my PC to, you know, my TV now, and how would I change up my setup and how would I make that work? I would have to think about it, you know, because there is a decent chance that if that were to happen, I would just be like, no, I'm just going to stick with my PS5 Pro, or no, I'll just get the PlayStation 6. I mean, no matter what, I'm still going to buy the console to have it. Like, just like I'm going to get the Switch 2, and hell, I mean, it feels too late for the Series X, to be honest. But in the future, I might get the next Xbox just to have it, you know, just to collect it and maybe use it at some point. I don't know, but I'm just reaching a point where I do want to have everything. I see myself still probably playing on PlayStation though. You know what I mean? And I just hope that collectively we can all get to a point, because look, I know I'm talking about Xbox and here are all the reasons why you shouldn't. Like, you know, why would you choose an Xbox? But I just want it to be known, man, that like at the end of the day, putting all the arguments aside, all the reasons aside, the list wars, who's losing what game, put all that shit aside. At the end of the day, if a person says, I want a game here because I just want to, because there's just something about it I like better. You don't need to explain anything. You don't need to explain anything to me. You don't need to explain anything to anybody. Go where you want to go, you know? And I think that that's fine. I think that right there is the future of gaming. I do. I think that the future of gaming is essentially, at the end of the day, everybody is eventually going to start trying to make money everywhere they can, eventually. And at that point, it's just going to be a kind of fucking free-for-all where it's like, where do you want to go? What do you like best? What are you most comfortable with? Oh, well then go. You know, there's nothing stopping you. That's why I think it's fascinating that Microsoft is still producing Xbox consoles, right? Because it tells you something. It tells you that, like, yeah, we're still going to have it there. We're not going to sell like as much. We're not going to be number one, but it's there. That's fascinating to me because I see Sony doing that exact same thing. I think Nintendo will do that same thing. I think these console manufacturers, like, it's in their DNA. Like, I think it's just always going to be a thing. So I guess ultimately here, you know what I want to say this. I think ultimately what I'm starting to realize, and this is an interesting realization that I'm having right now, is that I think the only people that I'm actually against somewhat, not like aggressively, but just I disagree, are people who seem to believe that the console is going to go away or that it's going to be reduced to just nothing. I think I just completely disagree with that. I think that's the realization I'm having, is that I think Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft collectively, they're going to keep the console market alive indefinitely. Regardless of what they do with their exclusives, regardless of where their games go, regardless of how much things change over time, I think that they're all going to continue to produce consoles. I think Nintendo, that's the most obvious, but I think that's just the thing. I think they're all going to produce hardware. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's cool. I would like to see that. I would like to see the console persist. Anyway, let me go check this tweet. Apparently I missed. And we're going to wrap this stream up very soon, only because it is a little bit later than normal. And I want to make sure to do a members lounge for at least about 45 minutes to an hour. Billy Bill Coon says, so that thing was real. Prepare yourself for some fresh news about a new version of one hardware you know very well. It may take some time to prepare. 5.x. Oh, come on. I'm going to be real with you right now, man. It's like, I'm not trying to, maybe I can't really say this without throwing a little bit of shade. Like, why? Like, no shit. The PS5 Pro is real. Like, just give us information. I'm so over that. I'm so over the teasing. There's no reason to tease. Just say what it is. You know? Are we hearing about the PS5 Pro next week? Yes or no? It's just, I mean, come on. It's just a bad look in my opinion, because it feels like you're doing this for like clout, you know, and attention. Maybe you do have information and you are good. I think Billy Bill Coon has proven he's good for the information, but it's like, come on, man, just drop the fucking info. I know what he's probably going to do though. If I've been following them for a little while, I think he's teasing it out now to get some attention. Maybe he's going to write up an article. I think they have a website. He's going to write up an article in the next couple days, giving some kind of info, and then Sony's going to try to take him out. Sony's going to snipe him. Guys, listen. I want to move on to the final topic, which I'm only going to cover briefly for a couple of minutes, but I did mention it at the beginning of the stream. And after this final topic, we are going to move to the members lounge. So I'm going to ask two things of you right now. Number one, you think you might be talking about the Switch 2? Interesting. Now that would be different, I would say. I could understand why he would tease that out. I didn't think about that. It could be. But guys, I want you to hit the like button. Okay, we're at 163 likes. I want to see if we can get to 175, maybe 200. Liking the stream really helps it out. And I also just want to give one last call out here for anybody else who wants to become a member or gift memberships, now is the time to do it. We're sitting at 25, so we hit our main goal today, the first goal. But we still have a couple minutes here left for the stream before we move to the members lounge. So if you want to drop any more gifts, now would be the time to do it. But the last topic is about Lies of P, specifically a sequel being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle. Geppetto's Puppet may be headed to bigger places according to a job listing. The Lies of P sequel may transition to an open world. A recent job posting for a field level designer from game developer and publisher NeoWiz suggests that the Lies of P sequel, I don't know why I said prequel. It's going to be a sequel, not a prequel. Will have an open world. In the preferred qualification section, they are asking for someone with extensive experience playing open world games and experience creating seamless worlds. As seen by Tech for Gamers, a key point section is now absent from the post. It also mentioned open world experience as a preference. There's also a content planner job posting with NeoWiz that asks for someone with experience developing multiplayer elements. The job posting also notes the Lies of P sequel will use Unreal Engine 5. The original used Unreal Engine 4. So I wanted to mention this because, guys, Lies of P is like one of my favorite games ever, I think. I platinumed it in January of this year. Possibly the most difficult platinum I ever earned. Maybe my most proud platinum as well. That was very difficult because I had to beat the final optional boss in New Game Plus. And let me tell you, not a fun time. That game broke me. It's Neo Wise, not Wiz. Okay, Neo Wise. Thank you for that. Yeah, so this has caused a bit of, back and forth between the Lies of P community, where I've noticed actually more people saying they do not want Lies of P sequel to be open world. They don't want it to be open world because they feel like it's one of the few games left that's like kind of follows that linear Souls-like path. And it worked really well. And I have to agree. If they do go open world, I'm not going to let it stop me from playing the game. I'm still going to play it and enjoy it. And who knows, maybe they could do it amazingly well and it would be awesome. But I won't lie. I do tend to get a little bit of open world fatigue these days. And it always makes me a little bit nervous, Wait, is it Wiz? I don't know. Somebody's saying it's Wiz, somebody's saying it's Y. You guys are always focused on my pronunciations. But if I had to choose, I would want to see Lies of P sequel be a wide linear game at most. I did appreciate the linearity of the game. Open world games sometimes tend to overwhelm me, but I don't know, it's like a 50-50 thing. If an open world is done really well, it could be the best thing ever. But if it's handled poorly, it can really ruin the experience, especially if it's like, oh, we did originally make linear games, now we went open world, and it's just not translating very well. But spoilers for Lies of P. If you beat that game, it doesn't seem like you're going to be playing as Geppetto's Puppet. They teased like the Wizard of Oz, and that's going to be the setting. So when you consider that, I mean, kind of fascinating to think about some type of open world setting set in the world of, the Wizard of Oz, from the developers of Lies of P. I mean, it sounds like it would be kind of crazy. Interesting that they're also switching to Unreal Engine 5. I'm thinking this game might be a next-gen title. I don't know. Maybe this game could come at the very end of this generation. Maybe it could be a cross-gen title. But Lies of P, it wasn't like the best-looking game in the world, but it did look really good. Makes me wonder what they could do with Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine they are probably feeling inspired by Elden Ring. I think we're going to see a lot of open world Souls-born games now. Elden Ring like games. Elden Souls likes. There we go. I think that's going to be more common. Do you think Elden Ring 2 will sell more than 20 million? Yes, I do. Although I don't think they're making Elden Ring 2 right now. But guys, listen, we're going to wrap this up, okay? I did want to keep this stream a little bit shorter. We're a little bit over the 2-hour mark. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to open up the members lounge. We're going to do a shorter members lounge. Yesterday was over 2 hours long, but we're going to hang out there for a little bit. So to all my members, look out for that. That stream's coming right after this one ends. Before I go, guys, I do want to thank everybody for your support. We hit 25 members today, which is awesome. Seriously, thank you guys so much. Shout out to Steven Leon for dropping that 20 bomb and DJ for hitting that 5 bomb. And I also want to thank everybody for dropping super chats. Leo Jimmy, $50 super chat, very generous. But anything you guys donate, again, we're purely fan funded. I couldn't do this without your support. Seriously, thank you for everything you do. I also want to make sure I give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps for the streams. Devil Shooter, thank you for what you do, man. You guys see him in the comments section. Give him some thanks. Show him some love. I know he appreciates it. But that's going to wrap up this stream. Tomorrow, we're going to have another stream, but at normal time, 12 p.m. Eastern. And definitely something interesting I want to talk about based off of a new report about Bungie. So, all right, guys, that does it. I'll catch all of my members in the lounge. And to everybody else, I will catch you tomorrow for another stream. So, until next time, guys, take care.